Hey guys, welcome to Coffee Talk. I am going to do a video recording once a month, sort of like Instagram stories, but a little bit of an extended version to talk about one specific topic that I've gotten questions about and want to provide some insight in. So today we're going to talk about pricing yourself, how that works as a service-based business. It can be a photographer, a designer, something totally outside of those fields. But I kind of have a formula and a way that I research and encourage people to determine their pricing, especially when they're starting out. But it's also a great way to check back in on your pricing, make sure that you're still charging fairly for what you're worth and for the value that you're providing. So kind of three main points. The first one is a couple of things to consider. And I think it's helpful to just make a list and kind of jot down the answers to each of these questions so that you know what you're providing your clients. So considering the deliverables, for me as a brand designer, I deliver lots and lots of files, and those are time consuming and valuable. So you want to write down everything that you're going to deliver to the client. If you're a photographer, writing down if you're providing digital files, if you're not providing digital files, if you're providing prints, that kind of stuff, albums, whatnot. So consider your deliverables, consider the value for that. If you are a business that works with other businesses, chances are that people are going to profit off of your services in return for what you do for them. So when I work with a client, I'm creating a brand for them, but then they are able to profit off of that brand as they move forwards. I was talking with a friend yesterday about creating an ebook. She was trying to determine how to price it. And that's something that if she creates it and then the business sells it, they're creating a direct profit off of the work she's done for them. So the value and the return on their investment are higher than if you're just providing, something like that to someone who is not a business. A wedding day, for example, if you're a photographer, the value of capturing a wedding day is a really big deal because, it's an important day in people's lives. So it might be more valuable to you and to your client than a family session. So figuring out how to determine that pricing. So deliverables, value, / ROI, and then consider your experience. So are you brand new and just starting out and you kind of need to have a little bit lower prices as you earn the trust and reputation in your industry, or are you super experienced and you need to charge for that experience? And then finally, the time that you spend on a project with a client, whatever it looks like for you. If you're shooting an 8-hour wedding, if you're spending 2 months on a brand and web design, that time has to be taken into consideration. So that's kind of point number one. Point number two is to do research. You need to know what the industry standard is for the service that you're charging for. So again, to use the photography example, if you know that an 8-hour wedding is typically worth anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000, that's the industry standard that you're looking at. Also looking at your competition. So people that are directly kind of peers with you in terms of their target audience, their experience, etc. Are they on the lower end of that industry standard? Is it a little bit higher? Where do they fall in that? Inspiration, people that are kind of down the road ahead of you, what are they charging? Where do you want to be down the road 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? And then finally, researching your target audience. So again, kind of wrapping all of these pieces together: industry standard, competition, inspiration, and then target audience. Do you want to work with the really high-end clients? Do you want to work with more middle-range clients? For me, I work with photographers in my business, and so typically photographers are running a business by themselves. They don't have a $25,000 budget for a brand and website. Whereas if I wanted to work with bigger clients but less of them, that price point might go up to compensate for the fact that I would be working with less clients per year, working with higher budget clients, etc. So consider those first things, research the second things, and then finally, and if you scroll down this email a bit further, you'll see a breakdown of this visually, but setting goals. So what salary do you want to pay yourself? Do you want to make $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, 20, 30, 200? What is it for you that is a realistic, measurable, attainable goal? So determining what you want that salary to be. And keeping in mind, I pay taxes out of my business account. So if I pay myself $10,000 a month, I don't, but for an easy number, if I did, taxes would be separate from that. So really the salary would be higher than $120,000 a year if you compare it to a normal job where taxes are part of that number. So just take that into consideration when you're goal setting for how much you want to make. Secondly, how much do you want to make per month, or that's kind of part of that first one. But when you're trying to figure out what you want your salary to be, think about what you want to pay yourself directly into your bank account each month. And then calculating your annual taxes, those add up really quickly. For most businesses, they shake out to be about 30% of what their business makes. Taxes, expenses, and then do you want to save anything in your bank account, or do you want to pay yourself 100% of it? I like to have a little bit of a buffer, so what I want to make per year has taken into account taxes, expenses, and savings before I actually pay myself that salary. So then you combine those two things together, and that's what you want to make as a business for the year. And then determine the number of projects or clients you want to work with per year. So if you know that you want to shoot 20 weddings, that's roughly every other weekend. Set a goal of 20 projects a year. If you want to shoot 10 weddings, set a goal of 10. For me, I work with 12 clients a year. I like to work with one per month. Typically, the overlap kind of flows just a little bit into the next one, but it's normally exactly 12 clients per year, and I start people at the beginning of each month. And I have associates too, so that kind of adds in another component to this. But if you're just by yourself, you can just do this. If not, you can do a second equation for your associates and then add them together. But so you take that annual amount that you want to make as a business, your salary plus your taxes, expenses, and savings, and then divide that by the number of projects. And that will give you kind of a glimpse of a great place to be starting. So the example below, I said $50,000 a year for the salary, $50,000 a year for the taxes, expenses, and savings. And then we divided that by 12 projects. And that comes out to be about $8,000 per project, $8,500 per project. So you don't have to charge the same for every single person, but it gives you a kind of spectrum and a starting point for how much you want to charge per project. So I hope this has been a helpful kind of tidbit and just deep dive into what it looks like to price yourself, checking in on making sure that you're paying yourself fairly, seeing if you want to give yourself a raise, seeing if you're overpriced. And if you're just starting out, it's a really helpful place to kind of get the ball rolling on a good starting price for your services. So y'all enjoy. Have a great day.